At 11:47 p.m. on a Wednesday in March, Daniel Carter walked into his kitchen and found his CEO standing by his refrigerator. She wasn't there to congratulate him. She was there to tell him that for 8 months, he'd been doing the work of 4 people who didn't exist, and that the man who created them had been collecting their salaries while Daniel's daughter ate cereal for dinner 3 nights a week. What Sophia Bennett said next would either destroy what was left of his life or give him a reason to fight for the first time in years. If you want to see how a man with nothing left to lose takes on a system designed to break him, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The apartment smelled like burnt coffee and old takeout. Daniel Carter pushed through the door at 11:47, his work bag catching on the frame. He didn't bother turning on the hall light. He knew the layout by heart. 7 steps to the kitchen, turn left, avoid the corner of the couch where Emma's backpack always ended up. His daughter was asleep. The babysitter, Mrs. Alvarez from 3B, had left a note on his counter next to a plate covered in foil. Emma ate. You should too. M.A. Daniel pulled off his jacket and tossed it over a chair. His shoulders felt like someone had driven nails through them. 8 months ago, the soreness had been manageable. Now it lived in him, a permanent ache that started in his neck and worked its way down his spine until even standing still hurt. He opened the fridge, leftover spaghetti, half a gallon of milk, a yogurt cup that might have been there since last week. Mr. Carter. Daniel's hand froze on the fridge door. The voice came from behind him. Female. Calm. Too calm for someone who'd just broken into his apartment. He turned slowly. A woman stood near his kitchen table. She wore a charcoal blazer over a white blouse, her dark hair pulled back in a way that looked effortless but probably wasn't. Mid-30s, maybe. Polished in a way that didn't belong in his neighborhood, let alone his kitchen. Daniel's first thought was that she was a social worker. His second thought was worse. If you're here about Emma, I'm not, the woman said. I'm here about you. Daniel's pulse kicked up. He glanced toward the hallway. Emma's door was still closed. No sound from her room. Who the hell are you? Sophia Bennett. The name didn't register for a second. Then it did. His CEO. Daniel stared. Sophia Bennett didn't visit employees at home. She didn't visit employees at all. She was the kind of executive who appeared in company-wide emails and quarterly earnings calls, always smiling in that vague, professional way that meant nothing. How did you get in here? Your landlord let me in, Sophia said. I told him it was urgent. Urgent, Daniel repeated. His brain was trying to catch up. You broke into my apartment because something's urgent. I didn't break in. I knocked. You weren't home. So you waited in my kitchen. Yes. Daniel rubbed his face. He was too tired for this. Look, if this is about my performance reviews, it is. I know I've been behind, but I'm working on it. I'm handling the accounts. I just need a little more time to... You've been handling the workload of 4 people, Sophia said. Daniel stopped. Sophia stepped closer. Her expression wasn't cold, but it wasn't warm either. It was something in between. Focused, deliberate. Like she'd rehearsed this moment in her head a dozen times. You've been assigned accounts that don't exist, she said. Employees that don't exist. For the last 8 months, you've been doing their work while someone else collected their paychecks. Daniel felt the air leave the room. That's not possible. It is. And it happened. No, Daniel said. No, I would have noticed. You wouldn't have, Sophia said, because your manager made sure you didn't. The name hit him before she said it. Philip Gaines has been running a payroll scheme for 2 years, Sophia continued. He created phantom employees, fake names, fake social security numbers, fake direct deposits. He routed their salaries into accounts he controlled. You were assigned their workload to cover the gaps. Daniel's legs felt unsteady. He reached for the counter. That's insane. It's fraud, Sophia said. And you were the perfect target. The words landed like a slap. What's that supposed to mean? Sophia's expression didn't change. You're a single parent. You work late. You don't complain. You don't push back. Gaines knew you'd take on the extra work because you needed the job. Daniel's jaw tightened. I didn't take on extra work. I just did my job. You did 4 jobs, Sophia said, and Gaines made sure you thought you were failing at one. She pulled a folder from her bag and set it on the table. Daniel didn't move. Your performance reviews, Sophia said. Gaines wrote them, everyone for the last 8 months. He flagged you as underperforming to justify keeping you in that position. If you'd been promoted, the scheme would have collapsed. So, how much she in? Daniel stared at the folder. He didn't want to open it. He didn't want to see his name next to words like needs, improvement, and below expectations written by a man who'd been stealing from him. Why are you telling me this? Because it's going to come out, Sophia said. And when it does, I need you to know that none of this was your fault. Then whose fault was it? Sophia met his eyes. Mine. The silence stretched. I hired Gaines, she said. I trusted him. I didn't catch this until 3 days ago when our auditor flagged irregularities in payroll. By then, he'd stolen over $2 million. $2 million. Daniel felt sick. How many people? 12, Sophia said. You were one of 12. Daniel sat down. His hands were shaking. He pressed them flat against the table. I should have seen it, he said quietly. I should have known something was wrong. You couldn't have, Buffia, Sophia said. Gaines isolated you. He kept you working late, buried in accounts, too exhausted to ask questions. That was deliberate. Daniel looked up. Why are you really here? Sophia hesitated. For the first time since she'd started talking, she looked uncertain. Because I don't want you to hear this from a lawyer, she said, or a news report, or someone in HR reading from a script. So you broke into my apartment. I needed you to hear it from me. Daniel laughed. It came out harsh, bitter. You needed me to hear it. That's great. That's really great. I know this doesn't fix anything. You're damn right it doesn't. Daniel stood. His exhaustion had burned off, replaced by something sharper. I've been killing myself for 8 months. I've been working 60-hour weeks, missing my daughter's bedtime, eating ramen because I couldn't afford groceries. And you're telling me it was all for nothing? It wasn't for nothing. Then what was it for? Daniel's voice cracked. Tell me what it was for. Sophia didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was steady. It was for Gaines, and I'm going to make sure he pays for it. Daniel turned away. He couldn't look at her. I didn't come here to apologize, Sophia said. I came here to tell you the truth and to ask you something. What? Help me take him down. Daniel turned back. Sophia was watching him with that same focused intensity. You want me to help you? Yes. Why? Because you know his operation better than anyone, Sophia said. You were inside it. You saw how he worked, how he covered his tracks. If we're going to build a case that sticks, I need people who can testify to what he did. Testify, Daniel said. You mean go on record? Yes. In court? Possibly. But Daniel shook his head. No. Daniel, no, he said again. I'm not doing this. I'm not dragging my name through the mud because your company screwed up. This wasn't the company, Sophia said. This was Gaines. Gaines worked for you. And I'm taking responsibility for that. By asking me to fix it? Sophia's expression hardened. I'm asking you to fight back. I don't want to fight, Daniel said. I want to take care of my daughter. That's it. Boy, then think about her, son, Sophia said. Because if Gaines gets away with this, he'll do it again. Maybe not here, maybe not to you, but to someone else. Someone who can't afford to lose 8 months of their life. Daniel looked at her. She wasn't pleading. She wasn't manipulating. She was just stating a fact. I can't promise this will be easy, Sophia said, but I can promise you won't be alone. I've been alone for 8 months. I know, Sophia said quietly. And that's on me. Daniel exhaled. He felt the weight of every late night, every missed dinner, every time he'd told Emma he'd be home soon and hadn't been. He felt the weight of believing he wasn't good enough, that he was failing, that he deserved to be stuck. And then he felt something else. Anger. What do you need? He said. Sophia's expression shifted. Relief, maybe, or something close to it. Documentation, she said. Emails, assignments, anything that shows what Gaines had you working on. If you have records of the accounts he assigned you, that's a start. I have emails, Daniel said, hundreds of them. Good, I'll need those. When? As soon as possible. We're moving fast on this. If Gaines realizes we're onto him, he'll destroy evidence. Daniel nodded. His mind was already running through the last 8 months, pulling up names and dates and projects that had never made sense. There's something else, Sophia said. Daniel looked at her. There are others, she said. People like you. I'm meeting with them over the next few days. If you're willing, I'd like you to be part of that conversation. Why? Because you're not victims, Sophia said. You're witnesses. And if we stand together, Gaines doesn't stand a chance. Daniel crossed his arms. You really think we can win this? I think we have to try. He studied her. She didn't look like a CEO in that moment. She looked like someone who'd made a mistake and was trying to fix it, even if it cost her. Okay, Mata, Daniel said. Sophia nodded. She picked up her bag and pulled out a business card. She set it on the table. My direct line, she said. Call me if you need anything, or if you change your mind. I won't. Good. She walked toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, she said, you didn't fail. You were set up to fail. There's a difference. Daniel didn't respond. Sophia left. The apartment felt quieter after she was gone. Daniel stood in the kitchen for a long time, staring at the business card on the table. Then he opened his laptop. The next morning, Daniel called in sick. He didn't feel sick. He felt wired, like he'd drunk 6 cups of coffee and couldn't sit still. He made Emma breakfast, walked her to the bus stop, and came back to the apartment with a plan. He was going to find every email Gaines had ever sent him. It took 3 hours to pull the records. Daniel started with his work inbox, searching for Gaines's name, then branching out to keywords: assignment, urgent, priority, deadline. The emails piled up, hundreds of them. Thousands, maybe. Most of them were short. Daniel, need you to handle the Whitman account. Client's nervous. Get it done by Friday. Daniel, Carla's out. Take her portfolio until she's back. Daniel, adding you to the Hendricks project. Should be straightforward. Carla Mendez. Aaron Briggs, Jason Kwan, Nadia Patel. Daniel pulled up the company directory. None of them existed. He sat back, staring at the screen. Gaines had been so careful. The emails were vague enough that they didn't raise red flags, specific enough that Daniel never questioned them. And every time Daniel finished one project, another appeared. He printed the emails, all of them. The stack filled half his kitchen table. Then he found something else. Buried in his sent folder from 6 months ago was an email Daniel didn't remember writing. Subject: Request for review. Hi, Philip. I've been handling a pretty heavy workload lately, and I'm not sure I'm keeping up. Is there a chance we could sit down and go over my assignments? I want to make sure I'm meeting expectations. Thanks. Daniel Gaines's response was immediate. Daniel, appreciate you reaching out. Let's talk next week. In the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. You're handling it better than you think. Daniel read it again. He'd asked for help. Gaines had told him he was fine, and Daniel had believed him. He printed the email and added it to the stack. By noon, he had enough to fill a folder. He put everything in his bag and called Sophia's number. She picked up on the second ring. Daniel? I have the records, he said. That was fast. Oh, yeah, well, I'm motivated. Can you meet me this afternoon? Where? My office, 2 o'clock. Daniel hesitated. Your office? Is that a problem? He stopped. Never mind. I'll be there. Good. And Daniel? Yeah? All right. Bring everything. Sophia's office was on the 43rd floor. Daniel had never been that high in the building before. His desk was on 12, tucked into a corner near the bathrooms. The elevator opened onto a reception area that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Glass walls, steel furniture, a view of the city that stretched for miles. A young woman at the desk looked up. Mr. Carter? Yeah. Miss Bennett's expecting you. Follow me. She led him down a hallway lined with conference rooms. Through the glass, Daniel could see executives in meetings, whiteboards covered in charts and projections. The woman stopped at a door and knocked. "Come in," Sophia's voice called. Daniel stepped inside. Sophia's office was smaller than he'd expected. Still big, but not ridiculous. A desk, a few chairs, a bookshelf crammed with binders and legal texts. The view was the main feature, a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the downtown skyline. Sophia stood near the window, her arms crossed. She wasn't alone. Two other people sat at the table. A woman in her 40s with short gray hair and a tablet in front of her. A man in his 50s wearing a suit that looked like it cost more than Daniel's rent. "Daniel, this is Laura Keyes, our lead auditor," Sophia said. "And Richard Park, our general counsel." Daniel nodded. "Hi." "Have a seat," Richard said. Daniel sat. He set his bag on the table and pulled out the folder. "This is everything?" Laura asked. "Everything I could find." She opened the folder and started flipping through the pages. Her expression didn't change, but her fingers moved faster. "This is good," she said after a moment. "This is very good." Well, Richard leaned over to look. "These are all from Gaines." "Most of them," Daniel said. "A few are from HR, but Gaines was CC'd. And these accounts, Whitman, Hendricks, Carla Mendez, you worked on all of these?" "Yeah." "How many hours a week were you putting in?" Daniel exhaled. 60, sometimes more. Richard wrote something down. "And you were told this was normal?" "I was told I needed to improve," Daniel said. "Gaines said I wasn't meeting expectations." Laura looked up. "Did he ever put that in writing?" "Yeah." Daniel pulled out the performance reviews. "These." Laura took them. She read in silence for a long minute, then she swore. Richard raised an eyebrow. "Laura." "Sorry," she said, "but this is—" She stopped, shaking her head. "He falsified these. All of them." "How do you know?" Daniel asked. "Because the metrics don't match your output," Laura said. "According to this, you were underperforming in client retention, but your accounts had a 94% retention rate. That's higher than the department average." Daniel blinked. "What?" "You were one of the top performers in your division," Laura said. "Gaines just made sure you didn't know it." The words didn't sink in right away. Then they did. Daniel sat back. He felt like someone had punched him in the chest. "I was doing fine," he said quietly. "You were doing better than fine," Laura said. "You were excellent." Daniel looked at Sophia. She was watching him, her expression unreadable. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" he asked. "Because Gaines controlled the reporting," Richard said. "He was your direct supervisor. Anything you did went through him first. So no one knew." "Not until now." Daniel pressed his hands against the table. He wanted to scream. He wanted to punch something. He wanted to go back 8 months and tell himself that he wasn't failing, that he wasn't broken, that he was enough. But he couldn't. "What happens now?" he asked. "We build the case," Richard said. "Laura's already identified the financial irregularities. With your testimony and these records, we can establish intent. And then? Then we go to the district attorney," Richard said, "and we make sure Gaines never works again." Daniel nodded slowly. "What do you need from me?" "Keep documenting," Laura said. "If you remember anything else, emails, conversations, assignments, write it down. We'll need as much detail as possible." "Okay. And one more thing," Richard said. "This is going to get messy. Gaines will fight back. He'll try to discredit you, maybe the others too. You need to be prepared for that." "I'm prepared," Daniel said. Richard studied him. "Are you?" Daniel met his eyes. "Yeah, I am." "Okay." The meeting lasted another hour. By the time Daniel left, his head was spinning. Laura had copied his documents, Richard had taken his statement, and Sophia had walked him to the elevator. "You did good today," she said. "I just handed you a folder. You did more than that." Daniel glanced at her. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "Pushing this. You could have buried it, paid people off, made it go away quietly." Sophia's expression darkened. "Is that what you think I should have done?" "I don't know," Daniel said. "But it would have been easier." "Easier for who?" Daniel didn't answer. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. I'm not doing this because it's easy, Sophia said. I'm doing it because it's right. Daniel stepped into the elevator. He turned to face her. I hope you mean that, he said. The doors closed. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the meeting in his head. Laura's voice saying you were excellent. Richard's warning that Gaines would fight back. Sophia's promise that she was doing the right thing. He wanted to believe her, but belief was a luxury he couldn't afford. At 2 a.m, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You don't know what you're getting into. Walk away while you still can. Daniel stared at the screen. Then he deleted the message and turned off his phone. He wasn't walking away. Not anymore. Daniel showed Emma the text message 3 days later. He hadn't planned to, but she'd caught him staring at his phone during breakfast. And when she asked what was wrong, the lie wouldn't come. Someone sent me something mean, he said. Emma was 9. She knew what mean texts looked like. Half her class had gotten in trouble for sending them. What did it say? Daniel hesitated. Then he turned the phone around. Emma read it, her face scrunched up. That's dumb. Yeah? Well, yeah, you don't walk away from stuff. She went back to her cereal. You didn't walk away when Mom left. Daniel's chest tightened. Emma didn't talk about her mother often. When she did, it was always matter of fact, like she was discussing the weather. That was different, Daniel said. How? Because I had you. Emma looked up. So, you still have me. Daniel smiled. It felt like the first real smile he'd managed in days. You're right. I do. So don't walk away, Emma said. She scooped up the last of her cereal and drank the milk straight from the bowl. Daniel didn't stop her. I won't, he said. And he meant it. Eek. The first group meeting happened on a Thursday. Sophia had rented a conference room in a building 2 blocks from the office. Neutral ground, she'd said. Somewhere people could talk without feeling like the company was watching. Daniel arrived 10 minutes early. The room was empty except for Sophia and a woman he didn't recognize. The woman was younger than him, maybe late 20s, with dark skin and braids pulled back in a tight bun. She looked exhausted. Daniel, this is Maya Torres, Sophia said. She worked in accounts receivable. Maya stood and shook his hand. Her grip was firm, but her palm was sweaty. Nice to meet you, Daniel said. You too. They sat. The silence stretched. Daniel could hear the hum of the air conditioning, the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. How long were you? Daniel started. 10 months, Maya said. You? 8. Maya nodded. She didn't look surprised. Did he tell you it was temporary? Oh. Yeah, he said I was covering for someone on leave. Same, Maya said, except the person I was covering for didn't exist. The door opened. 2 more people walked in. A man in his 50s with a gray beard and a younger guy, maybe mid-30s, wearing a faded hoodie. This everyone? The older man asked. Not yet, Sophia said. We're expecting 3 more. The older man grunted and sat down. The younger guy took a seat near the wall, his arms crossed. I'm Greg Lawson, the older man said. Operations. 15 years with the company. 15 years, Maya repeated. And Gaines still got you. Gaines got everyone, Greg said. That's what he does. The younger guy didn't introduce himself. Daniel glanced at him. He was staring at the table, his jaw tight. The door opened again. A woman in her 40s walked in, followed by 2 men. One was short and stocky, the other tall and thin. All 3 looked like they hadn't slept in days. Sorry we're late, the woman said. Traffic. No problem, Sophia said. Have a seat. They sat. The woman introduced herself as Rachel Kim, HR Compliance. The stocky man was Brian Foster, IT. The tall one was Jordan Hayes, Client Services. Okay, Sophia said once everyone was settled. Thank you all for coming. I know this isn't easy. Easy, the younger guy muttered. Right. Sophia looked at him. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Marcus. Marcus what? Does it matter? Yes, Sophia said. It does. Marcus's expression didn't change. Marcus Webb, customer support. 11 months. 11 months, Sophia repeated. That's longer than most. Yeah, well, I'm a slow learner. A few people laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. Sophia opened her folder. I'm not going to waste your time with apologies. You've all been through hell, and I'm not going to pretend a few words will fix that. What I can tell you is this. We have enough evidence to bring charges against Philip Gaines, but we need your help to make sure those charges stick. What kind of help? Rachel asked. Testimony, Sophia said. We need you to go on record about what happened. The workload, the assignments, the falsified reviews. Everything. On record, Greg said. You mean in court? Possibly. It depends on whether Gaines takes a plea deal. And if he doesn't? Then yes, in court. The room went quiet. What if we don't want to testify? Brian asked. Then you don't have to, Sophia said. This is voluntary. No one's forcing you to do anything. But you need us to, Maya said. Sophia didn't deny it. Yes, I do. Marcus leaned back in his chair. So basically, you screwed up and now you need us to clean up the mess. Marcus? Rachel started. No, he's right, Sophia said. She looked at Marcus. I screwed up. I hired Gaines. I didn't catch what he was doing, and now I'm asking you to help me fix it. That's not fair, but it's the truth. Marcus stared at her. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Greg cleared his throat. What happens if we do this? If we testify? Gaines goes to prison, Sophia said, and you get justice. Justice, Greg repeated. He didn't sound convinced. What about money, Chuars? Jordan asked. Are we getting compensated for this? Yes, Sophia said. The company is offering restitution to everyone affected. Back pay for the hours you worked, plus damages. How much? Brian asked. That depends on your individual case. Laura Keyes, our auditor, is calculating the amounts now. You'll each receive a breakdown within the next 2 weeks. And what if we don't think it's enough? Marcus asked. Sophia met his eyes. Then you sue us. The bluntness caught everyone off guard. You're serious, Maya said. Completely. If you don't think the restitution is fair, take us to court. I'm not going to fight you on it. Daniel watched Sophia. She wasn't bluffing. He could see it in the way she held herself, the way she didn't flinch when Marcus glared at her. Why are you doing this? Daniel asked. Sophia looked at him. Because it's the right thing to do. That's not an answer, Marcus said. It's the only answer I have. Marcus shook his head. Unbelievable. Look, Rachel said, I appreciate the honesty. I do. But this is a lot to process. Can we have some time to think about it? Of course, Sophia said. Take as much time as you need. What's the deadline, Otix? Greg asked. There isn't one. But the longer we wait, the more time Gaines has to cover his tracks. He's already covering his tracks, Jordan said. I got a call from his lawyer yesterday. Told me not to talk to anyone from the company. Sophia's expression darkened. He contacted you directly? Yeah, left a voicemail. Did you save it? Yeah. Good. Send it to me. Jordan nodded. Anyone else get a call? Sophia asked. Maya raised her hand. So did Brian. Same message? Sophia asked. Pretty much, Maya said. Don't talk to the company. Don't sign anything. Don't make any statements. Sophia pulled out her phone and started typing. I'm forwarding this to our legal team. Gaines is trying to intimidate you. That's witness tampering. If he contacts any of you again, do not respond. Just send me the message. What if he doesn't stop? Brian asked. Then we add it to the charges, Sophia said. Marcus laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. This just keeps getting better, I know this is overwhelming, Sophia said. But you're not alone in this. We're going to fight back. Together. Together, Marcus repeated. He stood up. Yeah, okay. I've heard enough. Marcus, I'm not doing this, he said. I'm not testifying. I'm not going to court. I'm not dragging myself through this so you can feel better about your screw-up. Sophia didn't argue. She just watched as Marcus walked to the door. He stopped before leaving. For what it's worth, he said, I hope you nail him. I really do. But I'm out. The door closed behind him. No one spoke. Then Rachel sighed. I can't say I blame him. Neither can I, Sophia said quietly. The meeting broke up 20 minutes later. Most people left without committing. Greg said he needed to talk to his wife. Rachel said she needed to review the restitution offer. Jordan said he'd think about it. Only Maya stayed behind. "I'll do it," she said. Sophia looked up. "You're sure?" "No, I ain't," Maya said. "But I'm doing it anyway." Daniel was still sitting at the table. He'd been quiet for most of the meeting, just listening. "What about you?" Sophia asked. "I'm in," Daniel said. Maya looked at him. "You don't sound sure either." "I'm not," Daniel admitted. "But I'm tired of being scared." Maya nodded. "Yeah, me too." Sophia closed her folder. "Thank you, both of you." "Don't thank us yet," Maya said. "We haven't done anything." "You showed up," Sophia said. "That's more than most people would do." Maya stood. "I should get going. My shift starts in an hour." "You're still working?" Daniel asked. "Yeah, can't afford not to." "Same," Daniel said. Maya gave him a tired smile. "Good luck." "You too." She left. Daniel and Sophia sat in silence for a moment. "That went well," Daniel said. Sophia didn't smile. "It went exactly how I expected." "You expected Marcus to walk out." "I expected half the room to walk out," Sophia said. "The fact that only one person did is a win." Daniel leaned back in his chair. "You really think we can win this?" "I think we have a chance." "That's not the same thing." "Kamau." "No," Sophia admitted. It's not." Daniel studied her. She looked tired, not just physically, but in a deeper way, like the weight of the last few days had settled into her bones. "Why are you really doing this?" he asked. Sophia met his eyes. "You asked me that before, and you didn't answer. I told you the truth. You told me what you thought I wanted to hear." Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "My father was a factory worker. He spent 30 years at the same plant, doing the same job for the same company. When he was 55, they let him go. No severance, no pension, just a handshake and a thank you." Daniel didn't interrupt. "He never recovered from that," Sophia continued. "He spent the last 10 years of his life angry, at the company, at himself, at the world. He died thinking he'd wasted his life." "I'm sorry," Daniel said. "Don't be," Sophia said. "He made his choices, but I made a promise to myself that I would never be the person who did that to someone else. And then I hired Gaines, and I broke that promise." Daniel didn't know what to say. "So that's why I'm doing this," Sophia said. "Because I owe it to my father, and I owe it to you." She stood and gathered her things. "I'll be in touch," she said. Daniel watched her leave. Then he sat alone in the empty conference room, thinking about promises and fathers and the things people owed each other. The restitution offer arrived a week later. Daniel opened the email at his desk, his hands shaking. The subject line read, "Restitution calculation confidential." He clicked it. The number at the bottom made him sit back in his chair. $73,000. Daniel read it again, then a third time. $73,000 in back pay and damages for 8 months of work. He did the math in his head. That was more than he made in a year. He scrolled through the breakdown. Hours worked, accounts managed, performance metrics, everything Laura had mentioned in their meeting laid out in a spreadsheet. At the bottom was a note from Sophia. "This is the company's offer. If you don't think it's fair, we can negotiate. You also have the right to pursue legal action independently. Whatever you decide, I'll support you." Daniel closed the email. Then he opened it again and forwarded it to his bank. That night, he told Emma they were going out to dinner. "Like a restaurant?" she asked. "Yeah, a real one." Emma's eyes went wide. "Can I get dessert?" "You can get whatever you want." They went to a diner 3 blocks from their apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it had booths and a jukebox and milkshakes that came in metal cups. Emma ordered a cheeseburger and fries. Daniel got the same. "Why are we celebrating?" Emma asked. "Because things are getting better," Daniel said. "Better how?" Daniel considered how much to tell her. She was 9. She didn't need to know about Gaines or the lawsuit or the months he'd spent thinking he was failing. "I got some good news at work," he said. "Like a promotion?" "Something like that." Emma grinned. Does this mean we can get a dog? Daniel laughed. Maybe. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Their food arrived. Emma doused her fries in ketchup and started eating. Daniel watched her, feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The legal process moved faster than Daniel expected. Richard called him 2 days after the restitution offer. "We've filed charges," he said. "Fraud, embezzlement, witness tampering. The DA's office is taking it seriously." "What happens now?" Daniel asked. "Now we wait. Gaines's lawyer will probably try to negotiate a plea deal. If that doesn't work, we go to trial." "How long will that take?" "Months. Maybe a year." Daniel exhaled. "A year. I know it's a long time," Richard said, "but we're building a strong case. With your testimony and the others, Gaines doesn't have many options." "What if he runs?" "He won't. We've frozen his assets. He's not going anywhere." Daniel wasn't sure if that made him feel better or worse. "Is there anything I need to do?" he asked. "Just keep documenting. If you remember anything else, write it down and stay available. We may need you to give a deposition." "Mo, tiesha sambacha seat." "Okay. One more thing," Richard said. "The press is going to pick this up soon. When they do, you'll probably get calls. Don't talk to them. Refer them to me." "Why would they call me?" "Because you're part of the story," Richard said. "And stories like this sell papers." Daniel felt a chill run through him. "I don't want to be part of the story." "I know, but you are." The story broke 3 days later. Daniel was at his desk when Maya texted him. "Have you seen the news?" He pulled up his browser. The headline was on the front page of the city's biggest newspaper. Tech firm CEO exposes massive fraud scheme. Sophia Bennett, CEO of Innovate Tech Solutions, announced yesterday that the company has filed charges against former operations manager Philip Gaines for embezzlement and fraud. According to sources, Gaines allegedly created fake employees and funneled over $2 million in payroll funds into private accounts. At least 12 employees were unknowingly exploited as part of the scheme. Daniel's stomach dropped. He kept reading. Bennett, who took over as CEO 2 years ago, called the scheme a betrayal of trust and pledged full cooperation with law enforcement. "This company was built on integrity," Bennett said in a statement. "What Mr. Gaines did was unconscionable, and we will do everything in our power to make this right." The company is offering restitution to affected employees and has implemented new oversight measures to prevent future fraud. The article went on. There were quotes from Richard, from Laura, from a representative from the DA's office. But no names, no victims listed. Daniel felt a small wave of relief. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He didn't answer. It rang again. Another unknown number. Then again. Daniel turned off his phone and went back to work. By the end of the day, the story had spread. It was on every local news site, every business blog, every tech forum. People were talking about it on social media, sharing opinions, speculating about who the victims were. Daniel avoided all of it. When he got home, Emma was already there. Mrs. Alvarez had picked her up from school. "Your phone's been ringing all day, Betit," Alvarez said. "I didn't answer." "Good," Daniel said. "Thank you." Mrs. Alvarez gave him a concerned look. "Is everything okay?" "Yeah, just work stuff." She didn't push. "Okay, well, Emma's had dinner. I should get going." "Thanks again." After she left, Daniel sat on the couch. Emma was doing homework at the kitchen table. "Dad?" she called. "Yeah?" "Some kids at school were talking about your company." Daniel's chest tightened. "What were they saying?" "Just that it was on the news. They said someone stole a lot of money." "Yeah, that happened." Emma looked up. "Are you in trouble?" "No, baby. I'm not in trouble." "Then why do you look scared?" Daniel didn't have an answer for that. The calls kept coming. Reporters, bloggers, people claiming to be from legal advocacy groups. Daniel ignored all of them. But Marcus didn't. 2 days after the story broke, Daniel saw Marcus's face on the news. He was giving an interview outside the courthouse. The camera was tight on his face, catching every word. I worked for that company for almost a year, Marcus said, and the whole time I thought I was the problem. I thought I wasn't good enough. Turns out I was being used. The reporter asked him about the restitution offer. It's not enough, Marcus said. Money doesn't fix what they did to us. It doesn't give me back the time I lost, the sleep I lost, the confidence I lost. Do you blame Ms. Bennett? Marcus hesitated. I blame Gaines, but Bennett should have known. She should have seen it. The interview ended. Daniel turned off the TV. The next group meeting was smaller. Only 4 people showed up: Daniel, Maya, Greg, and Rachel. Sophia didn't waste time. I know the news coverage has been difficult. If any of you want to back out, I understand. I'm not backing out, Maya said. Neither am I, Rachel said. Greg shrugged. I've come this far. Daniel nodded. Same. Sophia looked relieved. Good, because we have a development. She pulled out a folder and set it on the table. Gaines's lawyer reached out yesterday, she said. They want to negotiate. Negotiate what? Rachel asked. A plea deal. Gaines pleads guilty to a reduced charge, serves a shorter sentence, avoids a trial. And we just let him? Maya asked. That's up to the DA, Sophia said. But they want our input. What does that mean? Daniel asked. It means they want to know if you're willing to accept a plea deal. If you are, this ends quickly. If you're not, we go to trial. The room was silent. What's the reduced charge? Greg asked. Fraud. 5 years. 5 years, Maya repeated. He stole $2 million and he gets 5 years? That's the offer. That's bullshit, Maya said. I agree, Sophia said, but it's also a guarantee. If we go to trial, we risk losing. And if we lose, Gaines walks. Daniel felt the weight of that settle over the room. What do you think we should do? Rachel asked. I think we should fight, Sophia said. But it's not my decision. It's yours. Maya looked at Daniel. What do you think? Daniel didn't answer right away. He thought about the last 8 months. The exhaustion, the doubt, the fear that he wasn't good enough. He thought about Emma asking if he was scared. He thought about Marcus on the news, saying money didn't fix what they'd done to him. I think we fight, Daniel said. Maya nodded. Me too. Greg? Sophia asked. Greg sighed. Yeah. All right. Let's fight. Rachel? Rachel hesitated. Then she said, Okay, I'm in. Sophia closed the folder. Then we go to trial. The trial date was set for 6 months out. 6 months of preparation. 6 months of depositions and witness prep and legal briefings. 6 months of waiting. Daniel tried to keep his life normal. He went to work. He picked Emma up from school. He made dinner, helped with homework, read bedtime stories. But at night, when Emma was asleep, he couldn't stop thinking about what was coming. The trial, the testimony, the moment when he'd have to stand in front of a courtroom and relive everything Gaines had done to him. He wasn't sure he could do it. One night, he called Sophia. She picked up on the 3rd ring. Daniel, is everything okay? I don't know if I can do this, he said. Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Do you want to back out? I don't know. That's not an answer. I know. Daniel, Sophia said, I'm not going to pressure you. If you want to walk away, walk away. No one will blame you. Marcus will. Marcus made his choice. You make yours. Daniel exhaled. What if I screw this up? What if I get on the stand and I freeze, or I say the wrong thing, Then we adjust, Sophia said. You're not doing this alone. Richard will be there. I'll be there. We'll get through it. You can't promise that. You're right. I can't. Sophia paused. But I can promise that whatever happens, you won't regret fighting back. Daniel closed his eyes. How do you know? Because I've seen what regret looks like, Sophia said, and it's worse than anything Gaines can do to you. Daniel didn't respond. Think about it, Sophia said, and call me when you're ready. She hung up. Daniel sat in the dark, his phone still in his hand. Then he got up and went to Emma's room. She was asleep, curled up under her blanket, her stuffed rabbit tucked under her arm. Daniel sat on the edge of her bed and watched her breathe. She didn't know what was coming. She didn't know about the trial or the testimony or the fight her father was about to walk into. But she knew he didn't walk away, and that was enough. 2 weeks before the trial, Daniel got another text. This one wasn't a threat. It was from Maya. "Can we talk?" Daniel called her. "Hey," she said. "Thanks for calling back." "What's up?" She stopped. "I wanted to make sure you're okay." "I'm fine," Daniel said. "Why?" "Because I'm terrified," Maya said. "And I figured if I'm terrified, you probably are too." Daniel laughed. It was a weak sound, but it was real. "Yeah, I am." "Good. I was worried I was the only one." They talked for an hour. About the trial. About Gaines. About what it felt like to stand up to someone who'd spent months making them feel small. By the end of the call, Daniel felt lighter. "Thanks for reaching out," he said. "Thanks for picking up," Maya said. "We're going to be okay," Daniel said. "You really believe that?" "I'm trying to." Maya was quiet. Then she said, "Yeah, me too." "Mom." The night before the trial, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, running through everything Richard had told him. Stay calm. Answer the questions. Don't volunteer information. Don't get defensive. It sounded simple, but Daniel knew it wouldn't be. At 3 a.m, he gave up on sleep and went to the kitchen. He made coffee. Strong, black, the way he used to drink it when he was working 60-hour weeks. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. Daniel sat at the table and thought about the last 10 months, everything that had happened since Sophia walked into his kitchen. He thought about the fear, the anger, the doubt. And then he thought about Emma. She'd asked him once why he didn't walk away. He'd told her it was because he had her. But that wasn't the whole truth. The whole truth was that he didn't walk away because he'd spent too long believing he wasn't good enough. And he was done believing that. Tomorrow, he'd walk into that courtroom. Tomorrow, he'd tell his story. And tomorrow, he'd prove to Gaines, to Sophia, to himself, that he was worth fighting for. He finished his coffee. Then he went back to bed and closed his eyes. This time he slept. The courthouse was uglier than Daniel expected. Gray concrete, narrow windows, a flagpole out front that needed paint. He stood on the steps with Maya, both of them silent, watching people file in through the metal detectors. "You ready?" Maya asked. Daniel's mouth was dry. "No." "Good. Me neither." They went inside. The security line moved slowly. Daniel emptied his pockets into a plastic tray. Keys, wallet, phone. The officer waved him through. The metal detector beeped anyway. "Belt," the officer said. Daniel took it off. Went through again. This time it stayed quiet. Maya was waiting on the other side. "I hate those things." "Yeah." Richard met them in the hallway outside the courtroom. He was wearing a suit that probably cost more than Daniel's car. His hair slicked back, a leather briefcase in one hand. "You both sleep okay?" he asked. "Not really," Maya said. "That's normal. Listen, we're going in soon. The judge wants to handle some procedural stuff first. Then we'll start with opening statements. After that, the prosecution calls their first witness." "Who's that?" Daniel asked. "Laura. She'll walk the jury through the financial records, establish the scope of the fraud. Then we'll bring in the victims." "When do I go on?" Daniel asked. "This afternoon, probably. Depends on how long Laura takes." Daniel nodded. His hands were shaking. He shoved them in his pockets. "You're going to do fine," Richard said. "Just remember what we talked about. Answer the questions. Don't speculate. Don't get emotional." "Don't get emotional," Daniel repeated. "Right." Richard's expression softened. "I know that's easier said than done, but the jury needs to see you as credible. If you break down, Gaines's lawyer will use it against you." "What if I can't help it?" "Oh, then you take a breath and you keep going." Richard checked his watch. "We should head in." The courtroom was smaller than Daniel expected. Rows of wooden benches, a judge's bench at the front, a jury box to the right. The walls were paneled in dark wood, the ceiling too low, the air stale. Gaines was already sitting at the defense table. Daniel hadn't seen him since the day everything broke. He looked different now, thinner, older, his hair graying at the temples. He wore a navy suit and a red tie, his hands folded on the table in front of him. His lawyer sat beside him, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a tight smile. Gaines didn't look at Daniel. Daniel didn't look away. They took their seats behind the prosecution table. Sophia was already there, sitting in the front row of the gallery. She gave Daniel a small nod. He nodded back. The bailiff stood. All rise. The judge entered. She was a black woman in her 60s, her hair pulled back in a tight bun, her expression unreadable. She sat and motioned for everyone else to do the same. Good morning, she said. We're here for the matter of the People versus Philip Gaines. Counsel, are we ready to proceed? The prosecutor stood. He was younger than Richard, maybe early 40s, with a buzz cut and a scar above his left eyebrow. Yes, Your Honor. The people are ready. Gaines's lawyer stood. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Good. Let's bring in the jury. The jury filed in. 12 people, all different ages and races, all looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. They took their seats. The judge gave them a brief introduction, then turned to the prosecutor. Opening statements. Mr. Brennan, you may proceed. Brennan stood and walked to the center of the courtroom. He didn't use notes. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he said, over the next few days you're going to hear a story about betrayal, about a man who was trusted with responsibility, who was given authority, and who used that authority to steal. Not just money, but time, energy, dignity. He stole from people who trusted him, who worked for him, who believed that if they just worked a little harder, they'd be enough. Brennan paused. The courtroom was silent. The defendant, Philip Gaines, created a scheme that was as simple as it was cruel. He invented employees who didn't exist. He funneled their salaries into accounts he controlled. And then he assigned their work to real employees, people like Daniel Carter, Maya Torres, and 10 others, and told them they were underperforming when they couldn't keep up. Daniel felt the eyes of the jury shift toward him. He kept his face neutral. This wasn't a mistake, Brennan continued. This wasn't an oversight. This was deliberate, calculated, and it went on for 2 years before anyone caught it. By the time it was discovered, Mr. Gaines had stolen over $2 million. But the real cost wasn't measured in money. It was measured in the lives he damaged, the families he hurt, the trust he destroyed. Brennan turned to face Gaines. The evidence will show that Philip Gaines is guilty of fraud, embezzlement, and witness tampering. And at the end of this trial, we will ask you to hold him accountable. He sat down. Gaines's lawyer stood. Her name was Catherine Lowe, and she moved like someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, my client made mistakes. I'm not going to stand here and tell you he didn't. But what the prosecution is describing isn't what happened. What happened was a series of poor decisions born out of desperation, made by a man who was trying to keep a struggling company afloat. Daniel's jaw tightened. Daniel's kiss. Innovate Tech was bleeding money, Lowe continued. Contracts were falling through. Clients were leaving. The CEO, Ms. Bennett, was pushing for aggressive growth targets that the company couldn't sustain. My client, as operations manager, was caught in the middle. He was told to cut costs, but he was also told to maintain output. So he did what he thought he had to do. He created efficiencies. He streamlined workflows. And yes, he made some accounting errors, but he didn't steal. He didn't embezzle, and he certainly didn't set out to hurt anyone. Maya leaned over to Daniel. Is she serious? She whispered. Daniel didn't answer. The prosecution wants you to believe that my client is a monster, Lowe said. But the evidence will show that he's a man who made bad choices under impossible circumstances. And while those choices had consequences, they don't make him a criminal. She sat down. The judge looked at Brennan. Call your first witness. The people call Laura Keyes. But, Laura took the stand. She was sworn in, stated her name and title, and settled into her seat. She looked calm, professional, completely in control. Brennan walked her through the basics. How long she'd worked for the company, what her role was, how she'd discovered the fraud. Can you explain to the jury what you found? Brennan asked. Brennan. Yes. During a routine payroll audit, I noticed discrepancies in the employee roster. There were names on the payroll that didn't match our HR records. When I cross-referenced them with social security numbers, I found that several of them were fake. How many? 14. And how much money was paid to these fake employees? Over a 2-year period, approximately $2.1 million. A murmur ran through the courtroom. Where did that money go? Brennan asked. Into accounts controlled by the defendant. How do you know that? Because the direct deposit information listed accounts that were traced back to Mr. Gaines. We subpoenaed the bank records. The deposits matched. Brennan nodded. And what about the work these fake employees were supposed to be doing? It was assigned to real employees, specifically 12 individuals who were told they were covering for colleagues on leave or handling overflow work. Were these employees compensated for the extra work? No, they were salaried employees. Their pay didn't change. So they were doing the work of multiple people for the same salary. Correct. Brennan let that sit for a moment. Then he said, "Thank you, Ms. Keyes. No further questions." Lowe stood for cross-examination. Ms. Keyes, you mentioned that Mr. Gaines controlled the accounts where the money was deposited. Did anyone else have access to those accounts? Laura hesitated. Not that we found, but it's possible? Anything's possible. So you can't say with absolute certainty that Mr. Gaines was the only person who could have set up those accounts? No, but the evidence strongly suggests. I'm asking about certainty, Ms. Keyes. Can you be certain? No. Lowe nodded. And these employees who were assigned extra work, did any of them complain? Not formally. Not formally, Lowe repeated. So they didn't file grievances. They didn't go to HR. They just did the work. Because they were told it was temporary. But they didn't question it. No. So it's possible they didn't see it as a problem. Brennan stood. Objection. Speculation. Sustain, the judge said. Lowe smiled. No further questions. Laura stepped down. Daniel watched her go, feeling a knot tighten in his stomach. The morning dragged on. Brennan called 2 more witnesses, an HR manager who testified about the fake employee records, and a forensic accountant who walked through the money trail. Both were solid. Both were calm. But Daniel could see the jury starting to glaze over. Numbers and spreadsheets weren't compelling. They needed something human. They needed him. The judge called for a lunch recess. Daniel, Maya, and Richard went to a diner across the street. None of them ate much. You're up after lunch, Richard said. Brennan will start with background, your job, your responsibilities, how long you worked there. Then he'll ask about the assignments Gaines gave you. What if Lowe asks something I don't know how to answer? Daniel asked. Then you say you don't know. Don't guess, don't speculate. If you're not sure, you say so. What if she tries to make me look stupid? She will, Richard said. That's her job. But you're not stupid, Daniel. You're a victim. The jury will see that if you stay honest. Daniel pushed his food around his plate. What if they don't? Then we move to the next witness and keep building the case. But I don't think that's going to happen. Maya was quiet through most of lunch. When they got up to leave, she pulled Daniel aside. You got this, she said. I don't feel like I do. Doesn't matter. You're going to walk in there and tell the truth. That's all you have to do. Daniel wanted to believe her. They went back to the courthouse. The afternoon session started at 1:30. The courtroom was fuller now, more reporters, more spectators. Daniel saw Sophia sitting in the same spot, her expression unreadable. Brennan stood. The people called Daniel Carter. Daniel's legs felt like concrete. He stood and walked to the witness stand. The bailiff held out a Bible. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth? The whole truth? And nothing but the truth? I do. He sat. The room felt too small. The jury was staring at him. Gaines was staring at him. Daniel looked at Brennan. Mr. Carter, Brennan said, can you state your full name for the record? Daniel Carter. And how old are you? 32. Are you employed? Yes. I work for Innovate Tech Solutions. What's your position? Account manager. How long have you worked there? 4 years. Brennan nodded. And during that time, did you ever work directly with the defendant, Philip Gaines? Daniel glanced at Gaines. He was still staring. Yes, Daniel said. In what capacity? He was my manager. He assigned my accounts, reviewed my performance, handled my workload. So he had direct authority over you? Yes. Mr. Carter, can you describe your typical workload before Mr. Gaines became your manager? Daniel took a breath. I handled maybe 15 to 20 client accounts at a time. It was manageable. I worked normal hours, got my assignments done, met my targets. And after Mr. Gaines became your manager? It changed. The workload got heavier. I started getting assigned more accounts, more projects. At first, I thought it was just temporary. Gaines told me I was covering for people who were out on leave. Did he tell you who those people were? Yeah, Carla Mendez, Aaron Briggs, Jason Kwan, a few others. And did you ever meet any of these people? No. Did you ever see them in the office? No. Did you ever receive an email from them, or a phone call, or any communication at all? No. Brennan paused. So you were told you were covering for colleagues you'd never met? Yes. And you didn't question that? Daniel's jaw tightened. I should have, but I didn't. I just did the work. Why? Because I needed the job. I'm a single parent. I couldn't afford to push back. Brennan nodded slowly. How many hours a week were you working? 60, sometimes more. And were you compensated for those extra hours? No, I was salaried. So you were working 60 plus hours a week for the same pay? Yes. How long did this go on? 8 months. And during that time, did you ever complain to anyone? Whoa, I talk. Daniel hesitated. I asked Gaines if we could review my workload. He told me I was doing fine. Do you have a record of that conversation? Yeah, I sent him an email. Brennan walked back to the prosecution table and picked up a document. He handed it to Daniel. Is this the email? Daniel looked at it. He recognized the words, the date, the sick feeling in his stomach when he'd hit send. Yeah, that's it. Can you read it for the jury? Daniel cleared his throat. Hi, Philip. I've been handling a pretty heavy workload lately, and I'm not sure I'm keeping up. Is there a chance we could sit down and go over my assignments? I want to make sure I'm meeting expectations. And what was Mr. Gaines's response? Daniel flipped to the next page. He said, Appreciate you reaching out. Let's talk next week. In the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. You're handling it better than you think. Did you ever have that conversation? No. Why not? Because he never scheduled it. Every time I asked, he said he was too busy. Brennan took the document back. Mr. Carter, during those 8 months, how did you feel about your performance? Daniel looked down. I thought I was failing. Why? Because Gaines told me I was. He gave me performance reviews that said I was underperforming, that I needed to improve. And did you believe him? Yeah, I did. Why? Because he was my boss, because I trusted him. Brennan let the silence stretch. Then he said, Mr. Carter, when did you find out that the people you were covering for didn't exist? About 10 months ago. Sophia Bennett came to my apartment and told me. How did you react? Daniel exhaled. I didn't believe her at first. Then I looked at the records and I realized it was true. And how did that make you feel? Lowe stood. Objection. Relevance. Your Honor, the emotional impact is relevant to establishing harm, Brennan said. I'll allow it. Answer the question, Mr. Carter. Daniel looked at the jury. I felt like an idiot. Like I'd wasted 8 months of my life believing I wasn't good enough when the whole time I was being used. One of the jurors, a woman in her 50s, looked like she might cry. No further questions, Brennan said. Lowe stood. Daniel's stomach dropped. Mr. Carter, she said, her voice smooth and calm, you said you worked 60 hours a week for 8 months. That's a lot of work. Yes. And you did it all without complaining. I complained to Gaines. Once, in an email, and then you kept working. Because he told me I was doing fine. Right. He told you that you were handling it, so you believed him. Yes. But you also said you thought you were failing. So which is it? Did you believe him when he said you were doing fine? Or did you believe him when he said you were underperforming? Daniel's mind went blank. Both, I guess. Both, Lowe repeated. That's confusing, Mr. Carter. Can you clarify? Daniel stopped. He told me different things at different times. When I asked for help, he said I was fine. But in my reviews, he said I was underperforming. So he was inconsistent. Yeah. And that inconsistency, did it ever make you think something was wrong? No. Why not? Because I thought it was my fault. Lowe tilted her head. Your fault. Even though he was giving you conflicting information. Yes. Mr. Carter, you're an intelligent man. You've worked in this industry for 4 years. You manage client accounts. You handle complex projects. And yet you're telling this jury that you didn't notice anything strange about being assigned work for people you'd never met. Daniel's hands tightened on the armrests. I didn't. You didn't notice? Or you didn't want to notice? Objection, Brennan said. Argumentative. Sustained. Lowe didn't miss a beat. Mr. Carter, you mentioned that you're a single parent. You have a daughter, correct? Yes. And you needed this job to support her. Yes. So you were motivated to keep your head down and do the work, even if it seemed excessive. I was motivated to do my job, even if it meant not asking questions. I asked questions. Once. In an email. Lowe walked closer to the stand. Mr. Carter, isn't it true that you were so focused on keeping your job that you ignored red flags that would have been obvious to anyone else? No. You never wondered why these colleagues never came back from leave? Gaines said they quit. And you believed him? Yes. Even though you'd never met them? Yes. But even though you'd never seen them in the office? I didn't see everyone in the office. It's a big company. But you saw your department. You saw the people you worked with. And none of them were Carla Mendez or Aaron Briggs or Jason Kwan. Daniel didn't answer. Mr. Carter, I'm not trying to attack you, Lowe said, her voice softening. I'm trying to understand how this went on for 8 months without you realizing something was wrong. Because I trusted him, Daniel said. His voice cracked. I trusted my boss. I thought if I just worked harder, I'd be good enough. That's what I thought. Lowe paused. For a second, Daniel thought he saw something like sympathy in her eyes. Then it was gone. No further questions, she said. Daniel stepped down. His legs were shaking. He didn't look at Gaines as he walked back to his seat. Maya was next. She took the stand and told her story. 10 months of work. Accounts she'd been assigned. People she'd been told she was covering for. Her testimony was shorter than Daniel's, but just as raw. When Lowe cross-examined her, she didn't crack. She answered every question with the same steady calm, never giving an inch. By the time she stepped down, the jury looked exhausted. The judge called for a recess. Daniel went outside and sat on the courthouse steps. The air was cold, but he didn't care. Sophia found him there. You did well, she said. I froze. You answered the questions. That's what matters. Daniel looked at her. Do you think we're going to win? Sophia sat down beside him. I don't know. That's not reassuring. I'm not here to reassure you, Sophia said. I'm here to tell you the truth. Daniel laughed bitterly. The truth? Right. They sat in silence for a moment. I keep thinking about what Lowe said, Daniel said. About how I should have noticed. About how I ignored the red flags. You didn't ignore them. You trusted someone you shouldn't have. That's the same thing. No, Sophia said. It's not. Daniel looked at her. How do you know? Because I did the same thing, Sophia said. I trusted Gaines. I didn't see what he was doing, and when I found out, I wanted to blame myself. I wanted to think that if I'd just been smarter or more careful or more involved, I could have stopped it. But you couldn't have. Neither could you. Daniel wanted to believe that. He wanted to believe that he wasn't stupid or weak or blind. But the doubt was still there. Come on, Sophia said. We should get back inside. They went back in. The trial continued for 3 more days. Brennan called the rest of the victims. Greg, Rachel, Jordan, Brian. Each of them told the same story. Excessive workload, fake colleagues, falsified reviews. Each of them was cross-examined by Lowe, who picked at their testimony, looking for cracks. She didn't find many. On the fourth day, Gaines took the stand. Daniel wasn't expecting him to testify. Most defendants didn't, but Lowe must have thought it was worth the risk. Gaines looked calm, composed. He answered Lowe's questions with the kind of smooth confidence that came from years of lying. "Mr. Gaines," Lowe said, "can you explain to the jury why you created these payroll entries?" "I was trying to save the company," Gaines said. "We were in a bad financial position. Ms. Bennett was pushing for aggressive growth, but we didn't have the resources to support it. I created efficiencies to keep us afloat." "And these efficiencies, did they involve reassigning work?" "Yes. I streamlined workflows, consolidated accounts, and redistributed tasks to make the team more effective." "Did you steal money?" "No." "Did you embezzle funds?" "No." "Then where did the money go?" Gaines hesitated, just for a second, but Daniel saw it. "I used it to cover operational expenses," Gaines said. "Things that weren't in the budget, but were necessary to keep the company running." Like what?" "Software licenses, contractor fees, emergency repairs. And you didn't report these expenses?" "I planned to, but the company moved so fast, I didn't have time to formalize everything. It was a lie. Daniel could see it, so could the jury. But Lowe kept going. "Mr. Gaines, did you ever intend to harm the employees who worked for you?" "No, never." "Did you falsify their performance reviews?" "I may have been overly critical at times, but I didn't falsify anything. I was trying to push them to improve." "So you weren't trying to trap them?" "Absolutely not." Lowe sat down. Brennan stood. "Mr. Gaines," he said, "you testified that you created efficiencies. Can you name one?" Gaines blinked. "I'm sorry? You said you streamlined workflows. Can you give me a specific example of a workflow you streamlined?" Gaines hesitated. "I consolidated the account management process." "How?" "By redistributing accounts to employees who had capacity." "But those employees didn't have capacity, did they? They were already working full-time. They had more capacity than I realized. So you assigned them work without checking if they could handle it." "I trusted them to handle it." "Sits. You trusted them," Brennan repeated. "Is that why you told Daniel Carter he was underperforming when he was actually one of your top performers?" "I didn't tell him that." Brennan held up a document. "This is a performance review you wrote for Mr. Carter. It says, and I quote, 'Daniel has struggled to meet expectations and needs significant improvement in time management and client retention.' Is that not what you wrote?" Gaines's face went pale. "I may have been harsh." "Harsh or dishonest. I was trying to motivate him. By lying to him?" "Objection," Lowe said. "Argumentative." "Withdrawn," Brennan said. He walked closer to the stand. "Mr. Gaines, you testified that you used the money for operational expenses. Do you have receipts for those expenses?" Gaines didn't answer. "Do you have invoices, bank statements? Anything that shows where the $2 million went?" "Some of it was cash." "Cash," Brennan said. $2 million in cash, and you don't have any records. I didn't think I'd need them. Or you destroyed them." "Objection. Sustained, Mr. Brennan. Move on." Brennan stepped back. No further questions. Gaines stepped down. He looked smaller than he had when he started. Closing arguments happened the next day. Brennan went first. He laid out the evidence piece by piece. The fake employees, the money trail, the falsified reviews, the testimony of 12 people whose lives had been upended. "This wasn't a mistake, Tracy," Brennan said. "This was a crime, and the defendant needs to be held accountable." Lowe's closing was quieter. She focused on reasonable doubt, on the lack of direct evidence, on the possibility that Gaines had been trying to save the company. "My client made mistakes," she said, "but mistakes aren't crimes. And the prosecution hasn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Gaines intended to steal." The jury deliberated for 2 days. Daniel didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He just waited. On the afternoon of the second day, his phone rang. It was Richard. "They have a verdict," he said. Daniel's heart stopped. Already? Yeah, we need to get to the courthouse. Daniel grabbed his jacket and ran. The courtroom was packed. Daniel sat in the front row next to Maya. Sophia was on his other side. The jury filed in. None of them looked at Gaines. That was a good sign. The judge looked in the foreman. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. What say you? The foreman stood. He unfolded a piece of paper. In the matter of the People versus Philip Gaines, on the charge of fraud, we find the defendant guilty. Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. On the charge of embezzlement, we find the defendant guilty. Maya grabbed his hand. On the charge of witness tampering, we find the defendant guilty. The courtroom erupted. Gaines didn't move. He just sat there, staring at the table. The judge banged her gavel. Order, order in the court. The room quieted. Mr. Gaines, you will remain in custody pending sentencing. Sentencing is scheduled for 3 weeks from today. This court is adjourned. The gavel came down again. Daniel turned to Maya. She was crying, so was he. Sophia put a hand on his shoulder. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. They'd won. The champagne tasted wrong. Daniel sat in the conference room 2 floors below Sophia's office, a plastic cup in his hand, watching people celebrate. Maya was laughing with Rachel. Greg was shaking hands with Richard. Brian and Jordan were already talking about what they'd do with their restitution checks. Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. You okay? Sophia asked. She'd appeared beside him without him noticing. She wasn't holding champagne, just water. Daniel said. Just tired. That's fair. It's been a long few months. Daniel looked at her. You're not celebrating either. I don't feel like I earned it. You brought him down. We brought him down, Sophia corrected. You, Maya, the others. I just wrote the checks and hired the lawyers. That's not true. Sophia smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You're kind to say that. The door opened. A woman from the company's PR team stuck her head in. Miss Bennett, the press is waiting downstairs. Are you ready? Sophia's expression shifted. She looked tired. Sophia's bus. Give me 5 minutes. The woman nodded and disappeared. Press conference? Daniel asked. Yeah, the board wants me to make a statement. Control the narrative or whatever. What are you going to say? The truth. That we failed our employees, that we're implementing new oversight, that we're committed to making sure this never happens again. Sounds rehearsed. It is. Sophia set her water down. I've been practicing it all week. Daniel studied her. There was something off about her tonight, something tense in the way she held herself. What's wrong? He asked. Sophia hesitated. Can we talk? Privately? They left the conference room and walked to her office. The building was quiet. Most people had gone home hours ago. The only sound was the hum of the air conditioning and the distant murmur of the celebration 2 floors down. Sophia closed the door behind them and leaned against her desk. The board met this morning, she said. And they want me to step down. Daniel felt like he'd been punched. What? What? Not immediately. They're giving me 6 months to transition out, but they want me gone. Why? Because this happened on my watch. Because I hired Gaines. Because the company's reputation took a hit and someone needs to take the fall. That's insane. You're the one who exposed him. I'm also the one who let him operate for 2 years without catching it. Sophia's voice was flat, matter of fact. The board's not wrong. I should have seen it. You can't see everything. I should have seen this. Daniel shook his head. So what? You're just going to walk away? I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. Sophia looked at him. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked defeated. I could fight it, she said. I could take it to a vote, try to rally support, make it ugly. But what's the point? The board's already made up their minds. And honestly, maybe they're right. They're not. You don't know that. I know you didn't give up on us, Daniel said. You could have buried this. You could have paid Gaines off, made him disappear, protected the company's image. But you didn't. You went to war for us. That counts for something. Sophia looked away. It doesn't count enough. Daniel wanted to argue. He wanted to tell her that she was wrong, that she deserved better, that the board was full of cowards who cared more about optics than justice. But he didn't, because part of him understood. Part of him knew that Sophia was carrying a weight she couldn't put down, and no amount of reassurance was going to change that. "When are you telling people?" he asked. "After the press conference. I'll make the announcement next week." "What are you going to do after?" "I don't know. Take some time. Figure out what's next." Daniel nodded. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Sophia straightened. "I should get downstairs. They're waiting. You want me to come with you?" "No, but thank you." She left. Daniel stood alone in her office, looking out at the city lights. He didn't go back to the celebration. The announcement hit the news 2 days later. Sophia Bennett was stepping down as CEO of Innovate Tech Solutions, effective in 6 months. The press release cited a desire to focus on new opportunities and thanked her for her service. It was corporate speak for fired. Daniel read the article twice, then threw his phone on the couch. Emma looked up from her homework. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "You look mad." "I'm fine." Emma gave him a look that said she didn't believe him, but she went back to her math problems. Daniel's phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "Did you see the news?" "Yeah." "This is bullshit." "Yeah." "We should do something." Daniel stared at the message. He didn't know what to say. Before he could respond, another text came through, this one from a number he didn't recognize. "This is Marcus. I know we didn't exactly leave things on good terms, but I wanted to reach out. What they're doing to Sophia isn't right." Daniel blinked. He hadn't heard from Marcus since the day he walked out of the first meeting. "How'd you get my number?" "Maya gave it to me." "Look, I know I bailed on the trial, but I've been following the case, and I've been thinking about what Sophia did. She didn't have to fight for us. She could have made this go away quietly. But she didn't. And now they're punishing her for it." Daniel read the message again. "What do you want to do about it?" "I don't know. But we can't just sit here and let them screw her over." Daniel thought about it. Then he typed back. "Meet me tomorrow, noon, the coffee shop on 5th. I'll be there." Marcus showed up 10 minutes late, wearing the same faded hoodie Daniel remembered from the meetings. He looked older, more tired, like the last few months had aged him in ways that didn't show on his face. "Thanks for coming," Daniel said. "Yeah, thanks for not telling me to screw off." They ordered coffee and sat at a table in the back. "So what's the plan?" Marcus asked. "I don't have one," Daniel admitted. "I just know we can't let this happen without saying something." But saying something to who? The board? They already made up their minds. Then we say it to everyone else. We go public. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You mean like a press conference?" "Something like that." "And say what? That we're mad they fired her? That won't change anything." "Maybe not, but it'll show that we're not okay with it." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "You really think Sophia wants us to do that?" "Probably not. But she spent months fighting for us. It's time we fought for her." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "All right, I'm in. But we're going to need more than just the two of us. I'll talk to Maya. She'll get the others." "What about Sophia? Are we telling her?" "Not yet. If she knows, she'll try to stop us." Marcus smirked. "Yeah, she probably would." By the end of the week, Daniel had convinced 5 of them. Maya, Greg, Rachel, Jordan, and Marcus. Brian was still on the fence, and the others didn't respond to his messages. 5 wasn't a lot, but it was enough. They met at Maya's apartment on a Saturday afternoon. It was small, cramped, with a couch that sagged in the middle and a kitchen table that wobbled. "Okay," Maya said once everyone was settled. "What's the plan?" "We write a statement," Daniel said. "Something that explains what Sophia did for us and why the board's decision is wrong. Then we send it to the press." "That's it?" Jordan asked. "We just send an email?" "No, we hold our own press conference. We stand in front of cameras and we tell our story." Rachel frowned. "That's a big ask, Daniel. Most of us just want to move on." "Oh, I know. But if we don't do this, Sophia takes the fall for something that wasn't her fault." "Pardon? It was partly her fault," Greg said. She hired Gaines. And she fired him, Daniel shot back. She exposed him. She took responsibility. What more do you want? I want to not get dragged back into this mess, Greg said. I'm tired, Daniel. We all are. I know, but this is the last thing. We do this, and then it's over. Maya looked around the room. I'm with Daniel. Sophia went to bat for us. We owe her. We don't owe her anything, Marcus said. Everyone turned to look at him. He shrugged. I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying we don't owe her. We're doing this because it's right, not because we owe her. Daniel nodded. Fair enough. Rachel sighed. All right, I'm in, but I'm not doing any interviews. I'll stand there, I'll sign the statement, but I'm not answering questions. That's fine, Daniel said. What about the rest of you? Maya asked. Jordan nodded. Yeah, okay. Greg hesitated. Then he said, Yeah, all right, let's do it. Marcus grinned. Hell yeah, let's burn it down. Daniel laughed. Let's not burn anything down, let's just tell the truth. Fine, but I'm bringing matches just in case. They spent the next 3 days writing the statement. It was harder than Daniel expected. Every sentence felt too soft or too harsh. Every word felt like it needed to be perfect. Maya was the one who finally nailed it. We are the employees who were exploited by Philip Gaines. We are the ones who worked 60-hour weeks, who believed we were failing, who questioned our worth. And we are the ones who were saved by Sophia Bennett. When Ms. Bennett discovered the fraud, she didn't hide it. She didn't protect the company's reputation at our expense. She exposed the truth, even when it hurt. She fought for us when no one else would. And now the board is punishing her for it. This is not justice. This is cowardice. And we will not stand by and let it happen. We call on the board of Innovate Tech Solutions to reverse their decision and allow Ms. Bennett to continue leading this company. She has earned that right. And we will fight for her the way she fought for us. They all signed it. Then Daniel sent it to every major news outlet in the city. The response was immediate. By the next morning, Daniel's phone was ringing non-stop. Reporters wanted interviews. News stations wanted footage. Social media was exploding with support. The hashtag #StandWithSophia was trending by noon. Daniel didn't answer most of the calls, but he did answer one. It was from a reporter at the city's largest newspaper. Her name was Claire Dawson, and she sounded sharp, no nonsense. Mr. Carter, I read your statement. It's powerful. Are you willing to go on record? Yeah, that's why I sent it. Good. I want to do a full feature. Interviews with you and the other employees. Background on the case. A deep dive into what happened and why the board's decision is wrong. When do you want to do it? Today, if possible. Can you meet me at 3? But Daniel checked the time. It was 11. Yeah, I can do that. Great. I'll send you the address. The interview lasted 2 hours. Claire asked tough questions. She didn't let Daniel off easy. She pushed him on why he didn't notice the fraud sooner, why he trusted Gaines, why he thought Sophia deserved to keep her job. Daniel answered honestly. When it was over, Claire shook his hand. This is going to make waves. Good, Daniel said. The article came out 3 days later. The headline was simple. The employees who fought back, and the CEO who fought for them. It was everything Daniel had hoped for. Claire had told their story with clarity and compassion. She'd interviewed all 5 of them, plus Sophia's former colleagues, plus a business ethics professor who said the board's decision was a textbook example of scapegoating. The article went viral. By the end of the day, it had been shared thousands of times. News stations were picking it up. Opinion pieces were flooding in, and the board was under pressure. Wang, Sophia called him that night. What did you do? She asked. Daniel could hear the tension in her voice. We told the truth. You went to the press. Yeah. Daniel, you didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. No, you... She stopped. He heard her take a breath. You put yourselves back in the spotlight. You dragged this whole thing back into the open. Because they were screwing you over. That's not your fight. Yes, it is. Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Thank you. Daniel smiled. You're welcome. But I'm still mad at you. I figured. She hung up. The board held an emergency meeting 2 days later. Daniel didn't know what happened in that meeting. He didn't know what was said or who voted which way or what arguments were made, but he knew the result. Sophia Bennett would remain CEO. The announcement came through a press release, short and clipped. After careful consideration, the board of Innovate Tech Solutions has decided to retain Sophia Bennett as CEO. We have full confidence in her leadership and her commitment to the company's future. It was corporate speak for we caved under pressure, but Daniel didn't care. They'd won. Annes. Sophia invited him to her office a week later. I wanted to thank you, she said. Properly. You already did. I yelled at you on the phone. That doesn't count. Daniel smiled. It kind of does. Sophia shook her head. What you did? Getting the others together? Going to the press? That took guts. And it worked. I don't know if I'd still be here if you hadn't done it. You would have figured something out. Maybe, but I'm glad I didn't have to. They sat in silence for a moment. So what now? Daniel asked. Now we rebuild, Sophia said. The company's implementing new oversight policies. We're bringing in an independent auditor. We're making sure this never happens again. That's good. And I want you to be part of it. Daniel blinked. What? I'm creating a new position, employee advocate. Someone who reports directly to me, who has the authority to investigate complaints, to push back on managers, to make sure people aren't getting exploited. And you want me to do it? Yes. Daniel stared at her. Why me? Because you know what it's like to be on the other side. Because you're not afraid to stand up to people in power. Because I trust you. Daniel didn't know what to say. You don't have to answer now, Sophia said. Think about it. Take your time. How much does it pay? Sophia told him. Daniel's eyes widened. That's more than you're making now. Yeah, way more. You'd be worth it. Daniel looked at her. She wasn't joking. She was serious. I'll think about it, he said. Good. Daniel talked to Emma about it that night. So it's like a promotion? She asked. Kind of. It's a different job. But yeah. Would you still have to work late? Sometimes, but not like before. Emma thought about it. Would you be happy? Daniel hadn't expected that question. I don't know. Maybe. Then you should do it. Just like that? Yeah. You're always telling me to try new things, so try this. Daniel laughed. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just don't notice. Fair enough. But the more Daniel thought about it, the more something felt off. It wasn't the job. The job was good. It was important. It was everything he should want. But it was still at Innovate Tech. And Innovate Tech was where he'd spent 8 months believing he was failing. It was where Gaines had exploited him. It was where he'd lost pieces of himself he wasn't sure he'd ever get back. Did he really want to stay? He called Maya. You got the job offer too, didn't you? He said. How'd you know? Because Sophia's trying to make things right, and that means promoting the people she screwed over. Maya laughed. Yeah, she offered me a senior analyst position. Are you taking it? I don't know. Are you? I don't know either. They sat in silence for a moment. I keep thinking about what Marcus said, Maya said, about how we don't owe her anything. And he's right. We don't. But I also keep thinking about how she fought for us and how that counts for something. So what are you going to do? I'm going to take the job because I earned it. Not because Sophia offered it, but because I'm good at what I do. And I'm tired of letting Gaines take that away from me. Daniel nodded, even though she couldn't see him. That makes sense. What about you? Daniel exhaled. I think I need to leave. Maya didn't sound surprised. Yeah? Yeah, I need to prove to myself that I can make it somewhere else, that I'm not just good at this company, that I'm good, period. You already proved that. Not to myself, I haven't. You already. Maya was quiet. Then she said, I get it, and for what it's worth, I think you're making the right call. Thanks. But Daniel? Yeah? Don't disappear on us. We're still in this together. I won't. Daniel turned down the job the next day. Sophia didn't look surprised. Can I ask why? She said. Because I need to do this on my own, Daniel said. I need to prove that I can succeed without this place hanging over me. Sophia nodded. Understand. Do you? Yeah, I do. She smiled. I'm going to miss having you around. You'll survive. Probably. Sophia stood and walked around her desk. She held out her hand. Good luck, Daniel. He shook it. You too. Bullshit. Daniel's last day was quiet. He cleaned out his desk, said goodbye to a few people, and walked out of the building for the last time. Maya met him outside. You really doing this? She asked. Yeah. Where are you going? I don't know yet. I've got a few interviews lined up. We'll see what happens. Maya smiled. You're going to be fine. I hope so. They stood there for a moment, two people who'd been through hell together and come out the other side. Stay in touch, Maya said. I will. She hugged him. Then she went back inside. Daniel stood on the sidewalk, looking up at the building. He'd spent 4 years here, 4 years of work, of doubt, of fighting to prove himself. And now he was walking away. It felt terrifying. It felt right. He turned and walked toward the subway, toward whatever came next, toward a future he'd build himself. For the first time in a long time, Daniel Carter felt free. 3 years passed faster than Daniel expected. He took a job at a smaller firm first, one that paid less but gave him room to breathe. The hours were normal. The workload was manageable. His boss actually asked how he was doing and seemed to care about the answer. It was boring at first. Daniel kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for someone to pile extra work on his desk or tell him he wasn't meeting expectations. But it never happened. After a year, he got restless. He applied for a senior position at a consulting firm and got it. The pay was better, the challenges bigger, but he still left the office by 6 most nights. He had dinner with Emma. He helped with homework. He went to parent-teacher conferences and didn't feel like he was failing at everything. Emma was 12 now, taller, sharper, with opinions about everything. She'd started playing soccer and was good at it. Daniel went to every game, even the ones that started at 7 in the morning on Saturdays. Life wasn't perfect, but it was his. He stayed in touch with Maya. They met for coffee every few months, swapping stories about work and life and the weird ways things had turned out. She'd taken the promotion at Innovate Tech and was thriving. She'd even started dating someone, a guy from accounting who made her laugh. Daniel was happy for her. He was happy for himself too, in a quiet way he hadn't expected. But sometimes, late at night when Emma was asleep, he thought about Sophia. He wondered how she was doing, if the board was still breathing down her neck, if she'd managed to rebuild the company into something better. He never reached out. It felt like that chapter was closed, until one Tuesday in October when his phone rang and her name appeared on the screen. Daniel stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Sophia? Hi, Daniel. Her voice sounded the same, steady, professional, with an edge of warmth underneath. I hope I'm not calling at a bad time. No, it's fine. I wasn't expecting to hear from you. I know. I'm sorry it's been so long. Don't be. How are you? I'm good. Busy. The company's doing well. We just landed a major contract with a tech consortium overseas. That's great. Yeah. She paused. Listen, I'm actually calling because I wanted to ask you something. Are you free for lunch this week? Daniel's mind went blank. Lunch? Yeah, I know it's out of the blue, but there's something I want to talk to you about in person. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. I'd rather not do this over the phone. Daniel checked his calendar. I could do Thursday. Thursday works. How about that place on 7th, the Italian one? Marcello's? That's the one. Noon? Yeah, okay. Great. I'll see you then. She hung up. Daniel sat there for a long moment, staring at his phone. Emma walked into the room, backpack slung over one shoulder. Who was that? An old boss. The one from the trial? Yeah. Emma raised an eyebrow. What did she want? I don't know. She wants to meet for lunch. That's weird. Yeah, it is. Emma shrugged. Maybe she wants to hire you back. I doubt it. Well, you'll find out Thursday. Emma headed for the door. I'm going to Sarah's. I'll be back by 6. Text me when you get there. I will. The door closed behind her. Daniel sat alone in the kitchen, wondering what Sophia Bennett wanted after 3 years of silence. Marcello's was crowded when Daniel arrived. He spotted Sophia at a table near the window. She stood when she saw him, and for a second he was struck by how little she'd changed. Same sharp eyes, same composed expression, same way of holding herself like she was ready for whatever came next. Daniel, thanks for coming. They shook hands and sat down. You look good, Sophia said. So do you. Liar. I've aged 10 years since you last saw me. Daniel smiled. Haven't we all? They ordered. Sophia got a salad. Daniel got pasta. Small talk filled the space while they waited for the food. How was Emma? How was work? Had he seen the news about Gaines's sentencing getting extended? The food arrived. They ate. Finally, Sophia set down her fork and looked at him. I'm stepping down, she said. Daniel stopped mid-bite. What? Oh, not because the board's forcing me out this time. This is my choice. I've been CEO for 5 years, and I think it's time for someone else to take over. Why? Because I've done what I set out to do. The company's stable. We've rebuilt the culture. We've put systems in place to make sure what happened with Gaines never happens again. And honestly, I'm tired. Daniel set down his fork. So, what are you going to do? Now, I'm starting a nonprofit, an organization that helps employees who've been exploited by their employers. Legal support, financial assistance, counseling, the whole thing. That's ambitious. It's necessary. Sophia leaned forward. I've been working on it for the last year. We've got funding, we've got a board, we've got a mission. What we don't have is someone to run operations. Daniel saw where this was going. You want me to work for you? I want you to work with me, Sophia corrected. As a partner, equal say, equal stake. Daniel sat back. Sophia, before you say no, just hear me out. You know what it's like to be exploited. You know how the system works and how it fails people. And you've spent the last 3 years proving that you can succeed on your own terms. That's exactly what this organization needs. I have a job. I know, and I'm not asking you to quit tomorrow, but I am asking you to think about it. Daniel looked at her. She wasn't pushing. She was just laying it out, letting him decide. Why me? He asked. You could hire anyone. People with more experience, more credentials. I don't want credentials, Sophia said. I want someone who gives a damn. Someone who will fight for people the way you fought for me. Daniel didn't know what to say. Take some time, Sophia said. Think about it. Talk to Emma. If you're not interested, that's fine. But if you are, let me know. Oh. She pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. This is the full plan. Budget, timeline, goals, everything. Daniel opened it. The first page had a mission statement to ensure that no employee is exploited, silenced, or made to believe they are less than they are. He closed the folder. I'll think about it, he said. Yes. Daniel thought about it for 2 weeks. He read through the entire plan. He looked at the financials, the org chart, the case studies Sophia had compiled. He talked to Emma, who said it sounded cool but also kind of scary. He talked to Maya, who said he'd be an idiot not to take it. This is what you're good at, Maya said. Helping people. Fighting back. You've been doing it your whole life, you just didn't have a title for it. What if I screw it up? Then you'll figure it out, like you always do. Daniel wanted to believe her, but the fear was still there. The fear that he wasn't good enough, that he'd fail, that he'd let people down. It was the same fear he'd carried for years, the same fear Gaines had planted in him, and Daniel was tired of letting it win. He called Sophia. I'm in, he said. The nonprofit launched 6 months later. They called it Second Stand. The name was Emma's idea. She'd said people deserved a second chance to stand up for themselves. Daniel liked it. The first few months were chaos. They rented a small office, hired a lawyer and a caseworker, and started taking clients. The cases poured in faster than they could handle. People who'd been wage thefted, harassed, forced to work unpaid overtime, retaliated against for speaking up. Every story was different. Every story was the same. Daniel worked 60-hour weeks again. But this time it didn't feel like drowning. It felt like building something. Sophia was there every step of the way. She handled the fundraising, the partnerships, the media. Daniel handled the operations, the clients, the day-to-day grind. They made a good team. It wasn't always easy. They fought sometimes over strategy or priorities or how to allocate resources, but they always worked it out. And slowly, the organization grew. They helped a warehouse worker recover $30,000 in stolen wages. They supported a whistleblower who exposed safety violations at a manufacturing plant. They provided legal defense for a group of restaurant workers who'd been misclassified as contractors. Every win felt bigger than the last. But the work was hard. Heartbreaking, sometimes. There were cases they couldn't win, people they couldn't help, systems too big to fight. One night, Daniel sat in his office after everyone else had gone home, staring at a case file he didn't know how to solve. Sophia knocked on the doorframe. "You're still here," she said. "Yeah." She came in and sat down. "What's wrong?" This case, single mom, 2 kids, lost her job after reporting sexual harassment. Her former employer's fighting the claim, and she can't afford to keep going. We don't have the resources to take it to court. "So what are you going to do, Uedis?" "I don't know." Daniel rubbed his face. "I hate this. I hate that we can't help everyone." "We're not supposed to help everyone," Sophia said. "We're supposed to help who we can." "That's not enough. It's never enough. But it's something." Daniel looked at her. "How do you do this? How do you keep going when you know you're going to lose more than you win?" Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because every person we help is someone who doesn't have to feel the way we did. And that's worth it." Daniel nodded slowly. "Yeah, I guess it is." 2 years after Second Stand launched, Daniel got a call from Marcus. "Hey man, long time." "Marcus, what's up?" "I saw the piece about Second Stand in the Times. That's incredible, what you're doing." "Thanks. It's been a lot of work." "I bet." Marcus paused. "Listen, I was calling because I wanted to see if you guys are hiring." Daniel sat up. "Seriously?" "Yeah, I've been working at a tech startup for the last couple years, and it's fine, but it's not what I want to be doing. I want to do something that matters. And this, what you and Sophia are doing, this matters." "What would you want to do?" "Whatever you need. Client outreach, case management. Hell, I'll answer phones. I just want to be part of it." Daniel smiled. "Let me talk to Sophia. We'll figure something out." "Thanks, man. I appreciate it." They hired Marcus 2 weeks later. He started in client services and turned out to be great at it. He had a way of talking to people that made them feel heard, like their story mattered. Maya joined 6 months after that. She'd left Innovate Tech after getting an offer she couldn't refuse from a competitor, but after a year she realized she missed having a purpose beyond profit margins. "I want to work somewhere that doesn't make me feel dead inside," she told Daniel. "You guys hiring?" They were. Greg came on as a consultant. Rachel helped with HR policy. Jordan ran social media. Slowly, the team that had fought Gaines became the team that fought for everyone else. It felt right. On the 3rd anniversary of Second Stand, they threw a small celebration in the office. Emma came. She was 15 now, taller than Daniel, with her mother's eyes and his stubbornness. She'd helped design the new website and was weirdly proud of it. "This is pretty cool, Dad," she said, looking around at the crowded office. "Yeah? Yeah. You're doing something that actually helps people. That's rare." Daniel hugged her. "Thanks, kid." Sophia stood at the front of the room and raised a glass. 3 years ago, Daniel and I had an idea. We wanted to create a place where people who'd been exploited could find support, where they could fight back, where they could win. People clapped. "We've helped over 200 clients in that time," Sophia continued. "We've recovered millions of dollars in stolen wages. We've brought down corrupt managers, changed company policies, and given people their dignity back." And we did it because every single person in this room believes that no one should have to go through what we went through. She looked at Daniel. So here's to 3 more years. And to everyone who made this possible. They toasted. Later, after most people had left, Sophia and Daniel stood on the office balcony, looking out at the city. You ever think about how we got here? Sophia asked. All the time. It's weird, right? How the worst thing that ever happened to us turned into the best thing we ever did. Daniel thought about that. I don't know if it's the best thing, but it's a good thing. Fair enough? They stood in silence for a moment. Do you ever regret it? Daniel asked. Leaving Innovate Tech? No. Do you regret leaving? No. Sophia smiled. Good. Because I don't think either of us were meant to stay there. Where were we meant to be? Here, doing this. Daniel nodded. Yeah, I think you're right. Emma appeared in the doorway. Dad, I'm ready to go. Okay, let me grab my jacket. Sophia gave him a small wave. See you Monday. See you Monday. Bull Rochas. 4 years after Second Stand launched, Daniel met someone. Her name was Allison. She was a public defender with a sharp wit and a laugh that made him feel lighter. They met at a legal conference, bonded over their mutual hatred of corporate jargon, and went on their first date 2 weeks later. Emma liked her, which was the most important thing. She's cool, Emma said after meeting her. And she doesn't try too hard, which is good. High praise, ma'am, Daniel said. I'm serious. I like her sheets. Me too. They dated for a year before Daniel introduced her to Sophia. The 3 of them met for dinner at a place downtown. Daniel was nervous for reasons he couldn't explain, but Sophia and Allison hit it off immediately. They talked about law, about injustice, about the ways the system failed people, and what needed to change. By the end of the night, Daniel felt like he could breathe again. She's great, Sophia said when Allison went to the restroom. Don't screw this up. I'll try not to, Sophia smiled. I'm happy for you, Daniel. Thanks. You deserve this. You know that, right? Daniel looked at her. Yeah, I think I do. Cheers. 5 years after Second Stand launched, Sophia started dating someone too. His name was Aaron. He was a freelance journalist who'd written a piece about the nonprofit and stuck around after the interview was over. He was quiet, thoughtful, the kind of person who listened more than he talked. Daniel liked him. You're good for her, Daniel told him one night when they were all having dinner together. Aaron looked surprised. You think so? Yeah, she seems happy. She is, I think. She is, Daniel confirmed. Trust me. Sophia overheard and rolled her eyes. You two are not talking about me like I'm not here. Too late, Daniel said. She threw a piece of bread at him. 6 years after Second Stand launched, Emma graduated high school. Daniel sat in the audience, watching her walk across the stage, and felt a wave of pride so strong it almost knocked him over. She'd worked hard for this. She'd balanced school and soccer and a part-time job. She'd gotten into 3 colleges and was heading to her first choice in the fall. After the ceremony, she found him in the crowd. I did it, she said. You did. You're not going to cry, are you? Maybe a little. She hugged him. Thanks, Dad, for everything. Daniel's throat tightened. You don't have to thank me. Yeah, I do. You could have given up a long time ago, but you didn't, and that matters. Daniel held her tight, thinking about all the times he'd wanted to give up, all the nights he'd wondered if he was doing enough, if he was good enough. He still didn't have all the answers, but he had this. 7 years after Second Stand launched, Sophia called a meeting. I have news, she said. Everyone gathered in the conference room. Daniel, Marcus, Maya, Greg, Rachel, Jordan, and a dozen others who'd joined over the years. I've been offered a position with a national advocacy group, Sophia said. They want me to help expand their workers' rights initiatives across the country. The room went quiet. I'm taking it, Sophia said, which means I'll be stepping down as co-director of Second Stand. Daniel felt his stomach drop. But, Sophia continued, I'm not leaving entirely. I'll stay on as an advisor, and I've already talked to the board about who should take over. She looked at Daniel. No, Daniel said. Yes. Sophia. You're ready, Daniel. You've been ready for years, and this organization needs someone who believes in it the way you do. I can't do this without you. Yes, you can, and you will. Daniel looked around the room. Everyone was watching him. What do you guys think? He asked. I think you should do it, Maya said. Same, Marcus said. Rachel nodded. You've got this. Daniel exhaled. Okay, I'll do it. Sophia smiled. Good, because I already told them you would. But The transition took 3 months. Sophia trained Daniel on everything she'd been handling: fundraising, partnerships, media relations. She introduced him to donors, walked him through board meetings, and gave him more advice than he could process. On her last day, they stood in the office after everyone else had gone home. This is weird, Daniel said. Yeah. I'm going to miss you. I'll still be around, just not every day. It's not the same. Sophia looked at him. Daniel, you're going to be fine, better than fine. You're going to do things I never could have done. I don't know about that. I do. She picked up her bag. Take care of this place, and take care of yourself. I will. She hugged him. Then she left. Daniel stood alone in the office, looking around at the walls covered in case files and photos and thank you notes from clients. He felt scared. He felt ready. A year later, Daniel was sitting in his office when his assistant knocked. There's someone here to see you, she said. Who? She didn't give a name, just said she wanted to thank you. Daniel frowned. Okay, send her in. A woman in her 30s walked in. She looked familiar, but Daniel couldn't place her. Mr. Carter, she said, I don't know if you remember me. My name's Lisa Grant. You helped me 2 years ago. Daniel's memory clicked. Lisa had been fired after reporting unsafe working conditions at a factory. Second Stand had helped her file a complaint with OSHA and get her job back. I remember, Daniel said. How are you? I'm good, really good. I got promoted last year, and the factory, they've made a lot of changes. It's safer now. That's great. Well, I just wanted to come by and say thank you. What you did, it changed my life, and I wanted you to know that. Daniel felt his throat tighten. You don't have to thank me. You did the hard part. Maybe, but I couldn't have done it without you. She shook his hand and left. Daniel sat there for a long time after she was gone. Then he opened his laptop and got back to work. 8 years after Second Stand launched, Sophia came back. Not permanently, but for a visit. She and Aaron were in town for the weekend, and she'd asked if they could stop by the office. Daniel gave them a tour. The place had grown. They'd moved to a bigger space, hired more staff, expanded their services. This is incredible, Sophia said. We've been busy. I can see that. She looked around. You've done an amazing job, Daniel. We've done an amazing job. This started with you, see? It started with us, Sophia corrected. And it's going to keep going long after we're both gone. Daniel nodded. Yeah, I think it will. They went to dinner that night. Daniel, Sophia, Aaron, Allison, Emma, and a few others from the team. They talked and laughed and told old stories. At one point, Emma leaned over to Daniel. You happy, Dad? She asked. Daniel looked around the table. At Sophia and Aaron, at Allison, at the people who'd become his family. Yeah, he said, I am. "10 years after Daniel Carter found his CEO standing in his kitchen, he stood on a stage in front of 200 people. Second Stand was hosting its annual gala, a fundraiser to support their work. Daniel had been asked to give the keynote speech. He looked out at the crowd. He saw Maya and Marcus. He saw Greg and Rachel. He saw Sophia and Aaron sitting near the front, Sophia beaming at him. He saw Emma, now 22, sitting with Allison. And he saw people he had helped. People who'd walked into Second Stand broken and walked out whole. Daniel cleared his throat. 10 years ago, he said, I thought I was failing. I was working 60-hour weeks, barely seeing my daughter, and believing that I wasn't good enough. And then I found out that none of it was true. I'd been set up to fail by someone who saw me as a tool, not a person. The room was silent. That experience could have destroyed me, and for a while it almost did, but instead it taught me something. It taught me that the systems we work in aren't always fair, that the people in power don't always have our best interests at heart, and that sometimes the only way to survive is to fight back. He paused. Second Stand exists because a group of people decided to fight back. We decided that what happened to us wouldn't happen to anyone else if we could help it. And over the last 10 years, we've helped hundreds of people do the same thing. He looked at Sophia. None of this would have been possible without Sophia Bennett. She's the one who had the courage to expose the truth, even when it cost her everything. She's the one who believed that people like me deserved a second chance. And she's the one who taught me that fighting back isn't just about winning. It's about refusing to accept that you're less than you are. People clapped. So thank you, Daniel said. To everyone in this room, to the clients who trusted us, to the team who makes this work possible, and to anyone who's ever felt like they weren't enough. You are. You always were. And if you ever need someone to remind you of that, we'll be here. The applause was deafening. After the speech, Sophia found him. That was perfect, she said. You think so? I know so. They stood together, watching the crowd. We did okay, didn't we? Sophia said. Daniel smiled. Yeah, we did. That night, after this gala was over and everyone had gone home, Daniel sat on his couch with Allison. Emma was upstairs, packing for a trip. She was heading to grad school in the fall, studying social work. She's going to be great at that, Allison said. Yeah, she is. She gets it from you, you know. Gets what? The need to help people, to fight for them. Daniel thought about that. Maybe. Or maybe she just knows what it's like to watch someone struggle and not give up. Allison leaned her head on his shoulder. You ever think about how different your life would be if none of this had happened? All the time. Better or worse? Daniel considered. Different. I don't know if it would be better. Really? Yeah, I mean, what happened with Gaines was terrible, but it led to everything else. Second Stand. You. Emma seen that you can fight back and win. So you're glad it happened? No, but I'm glad I didn't let it break me. Allison kissed his cheek. I'm glad too. The truth is, there's no such thing as a clean ending. Life doesn't tie itself up neatly. People don't suddenly become perfect. The world doesn't stop being unfair just because you've learned to fight back. Daniel knew that, but he also knew that the fight mattered, that standing up mattered, that refusing to believe you're less than you are mattered. He'd spent years thinking he wasn't good enough, that he was failing, that he deserved to be stuck. And then he'd learned the truth. He wasn't failing. He was being failed. And once he understood that, everything changed. Not overnight, not easily, but slowly, piece by piece. Daniel had rebuilt his life into something he was proud of. He'd built a family, a career, a legacy. And he'd done it by refusing to walk away. Sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't winning. It's deciding that you're worth fighting for in the first place. Daniel Carter had learned that lesson the hard way. But he'd learned it. And now he spent every day making sure other people learned it too. Because everyone deserves a second stand. Everyone deserves to know they're enough. And sometimes, all it takes is one person refusing to give up to change everything.